What's up, I'm Joe. You know, geek is a much less specific word than it used to be. As the current generation of geeks have grown from Wesley Crusher to, well, Will Wheaton, the purview of geek culture has exploded. No longer are geeks just lovers of fantasy and sci-fi. We're lovers of just about anything. We've made it uncool to be too cool. And that's pretty cool. I mean, I still remember a time when geek just referred to someone who loved Star Trek and or Lord of the Rings. I know I sound a bit like an old nerdy curmudgeon.
You kids today got it too easy. Back in my day, we only had 150 Pokemon. Here, have a rare candy, and I'll tell you about the time I found Missing No.
But for all of those new great things you can be a geek about, I still have a special place in my heart for those old gods of the geek culture, science fiction, and fantasy. And that's because these traditional geek mainstays are important to human culture in a very unique way. Because they're set in worlds with different rules, they're perfect platforms for tackling questions that we couldn't answer in real life. So in this series, I'm going to be talking about all sorts of things, science, philosophy, economics, and others, through the lenses of geek culture. To show you what I'm talking about, let's look at one of the most popular tropes in science fiction, the simulated reality. Over and over again, from Neo to Leo, we see characters faced with a reality that is actually just a clever simulation, causing them to question what is real. Sci-fi in particular makes a great backdrop for philosophical questions. That's because the setting often represents one of humanity's flaws taken to its logical and most horrifying extreme. In this case, it's escapism. Our desire to leave the troubles of the world behind end up supplanting reality entirely. But the idea of a simulated reality is a lot less fiction than most people realize. By exploring the idea of living in a simulation, we're exploring the nature of our own minds. To quote Neo, "Whoa. Simulation is a very deep-seated human instinct. If I touch my nose, the mirror neurons in your brain are calculating how you could do exactly the same thing. You have a subconscious model of me in your mind, simulating my movements to understand them. In fact, your brain is kind of a non-stop simulation machine." If you've ever had a conversation with someone who wasn't there, you know what I'm talking about. I don't mean like crazy status or anything, I'm talking about practicing a conversation with your roommates, or going over a fight that you had with your parents earlier in the day. Yeah, well, I may not have cleaned my room in 6 years, but at least I never had a mullet. Yeah, I totally should have said that. But here's the freaky part. When you're having that conversation with the person in your head, your body is actually going through physiological chemical changes. You're responding as if that person is actually there. Your body believes that this imaginary situation is real. And if your body, your sensory apparatus, the thing that you experience the world with, believes it to be true, is that much different than how we experience the world usually? Whoa, suddenly Inception doesn't seem that impressive, does it? When you think about it, we spend more time simulating the world than interacting with it. We can't stop making simulations, and really, we wouldn't want to. Simulations are really useful. Before you build a table, you draw the plans as an abstraction, a simulation. Drawing the plans doesn't actually get you any closer to having a table, but it's a necessary step. If you didn't make the simulation, there's almost no chance that you'd ever have the table in reality. We need the simulation so that we can design reality the way we want. And that's the real utility of simulations. Like blueprints, they offer us perspective that wouldn't be available otherwise. Whether it's a game, a drawing, a daydream, or a video, these abstractions are our tools to understand our relation to the real world. And this is why science fiction and fantasy are so important. They allow us to experiment with questions that teach us fundamental truths about humanity, and they let us do it with laser guns! So what do you think? Would it be better for us to be in the real world than in a simulation? Would we even be able to tell the difference? Should we strive to be more present and interact with the real natural world, or should we embrace the boundless possibilities of our imagination? Let me know what you think in the comments. You'll unlock your power once you realize the truth. There is no subscribe button. Yes, there is. 50 XP for watching. Peace and love.